Hi guys, I'm going to do a foundation review today. I'm reviewing the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Stick Foundation. I have the shade Golden. Let's just get that out there nice and quick. I have the shade Golden and I purchased mine from Space NK. I paid, I think it retails for £42, so it is a high-end foundation in my opinion, and I think it is, yeah, I think it is probably the most expensive foundation that I own, and there was me wondering whether I should buy the Huda Beauty one. I think I might just hold off that, but I purchased this a few weeks ago from Space NK and I was colour matched, like I said, to the shade Golden, and this is what the foundation looks like. I've already used it in an Instagram makeup tutorial, but I thought I would do a proper demo for you guys and talk through the foundation. The sales assistant did try and sell me the foundation brush that is meant to be used with this foundation, but I was like, no thank you, I've got so many brushes, and I also bought the beauty blender the same day, so I thought it's fine. And most of the time, like, I'll buy the brushes and the blenders and everything and then I end up using my fingers anyway, so I thought no, I would leave the brush. But it would be interesting to see if those of you guys who have purchased the brush, like how you've got on with that and this foundation. So in the demo I am using one side with a Real Techniques Expert Face brush and I'm using another side with a damp beauty blender, just so you can see how it applies differently. I will say that I definitely preferred applying this foundation with the damp beauty blender. It had a little bit more movement. I found with the brush, it might be that brush, but I found with the brush it needed a little bit more work and it just didn't sit nicely with the brush. I have also tested this foundation using my fingers and I didn't like it, which is rare for me because normally if I don't like a foundation, how it works with a brush, I know I'm going to like it if I apply it with my fingers and melt it into the skin. I didn't like it either. So for me, the best way to use this foundation would be a beauty blender. I know there's mixed opinions on that. People say brushes, but it honestly depends on your technique, it depends on your skin type, it depends on the finish you want. I have dry, dehydrated skin. I just found that the beauty blender and this foundation was more forgiving and just looked and sat better on my skin. This foundation is marketed to be a full coverage foundation, like in one go, in one easy swipe. It's meant to be quick, easy to use, and very highly pigmented, to the point where I think it claims that it can be used as a concealer and foundation in one. And that normally means that the foundation that you're about to buy, wherever you see a foundation that says 2-in-1, foundation concealer, it normally means that the foundation itself is going to be quite highly pigmented, like there's a ton of pigment. So shade matching is very important. You need to get your shade matched, and it's normally going to be full coverage. To be a 12-hour foundation, which I feel like is the standard for most foundations now. I don't feel like that's anything too miraculous, is that the word, as a claim. It is a cream foundation and I'm not normally a fan of cream foundations. I find that they can make the skin look quite heavy and, you know, cakey or whatever, but they can make it look quite heavy and they don't let your skin breathe. I feel like they look very, like, I don't know the word, like clay-like. That's how I feel like a lot of stick foundations are. So I normally stay away from stick foundations. However, this one is super creamy. It's a very creamy foundation, and as soon as you apply it on the skin, especially if you apply it directly and kind of dot it over or swipe it over like I did, you can feel the product melting quite quickly. I mean, that's probably not great for the bank balance if you do enjoy this foundation, because the product, obviously being a cream, it's going to run out a little bit quicker when it's melting into your skin. It shows the consistency of this foundation. I applied it in swipe motions, kind of all around my face. I kind of, you know, did that whole swipey thing. I didn't dot it. I found that it was just much more easier for me to apply the right amount by kind of swiping it on. And that's another thing I would say with this foundation. I found that like, it took a little bit of time for me to figure out just how much of this foundation I wanted on my skin and just how to use it in order to kind of get that finish. It's not like a pump foundation or a liquid foundation, and because I'm not used to cream foundations or this kind of formula, I think I found, for me personally, the right amount of coverage. It's beautifully pigmented. I do think there are better full coverage foundations obviously out there on the market. I think Estee Lauder Double Wear will always be up there for me. So when I think of full coverage, I will always compare, even though that's kind of more matte. This is more semi-matte. This is like a satin finish, a skin-like finish. It has a hint of kind of like a sheen, skin-like sheen to it, but it still looks natural, and you can make this full coverage. I have seen people use this as a concealer and contour, really expensive concealer and contour, but if you wanted to do that, you could definitely do that. I think it would work beautifully as a contour and a concealer. I still went ahead and used my Smashbox 24-hour concealer because I felt like I needed it, and I didn't actually take this product too near the under eye, just because the shade, I just prefer a brighter, I mean, who doesn't in this day and age, but I prefer like a brighter under eye, so I knew I was going to go in with a concealer anyway. I do have a scar here from where my son scratched me like a few days ago, and I had to kind of go over that twice, and I don't know if you can see it, but I think it looks better on my dry, dull, dehydrated skin, which I'm working on. I feel like it looks better as more like a medium coverage skin-like foundation for me. It does last like a good 6 hours, that's just me being honest. I found that 8 hours plus it did break away, and it claims to be waterproof or water resistant. I didn't test that out, I didn't have an opportunity to test that out, but it did separate in places on my skin and fade away, so I'm not sure how it would be waterproof or water resistant because they're two separate things. But if those of you guys who have tried it, let me know as well what you think. I think for £42 it is an expensive foundation, and I do think, unfortunately, it's probably one that you can miss. It is a beautiful foundation for sure. I just wish it was like £10, £12 cheaper, £15 cheaper. Read some reviews that said that that it does cling to dry patches on the skin, but I mean, find me a foundation that doesn't, that is medium to full coverage. I've not really come across one that I can think of, but I don't think I've come across one. The lighter the foundation, the more fluid it is, the more sheer it is, the less likely it's going to cling to your dry patches. So I think prep is obviously important, but that's with any foundation if you don't want it to kind of, you know, cling to dry patches. It's not a hugely in-depth review, but hopefully I've covered the main points. In terms of, one thing, in terms of the shade Golden, I think it's a good shade for me. It's quite a neutral shade, even though it's called Golden. It's quite a neutral shade, which I like, and it's got like a hint of kind of warmth to it, which is what you want if you're kind of my shade. I'm like an NC40 right now, maybe a little bit lighter, but around an NC40, and I prefer to look obviously more golden and more warm. I don't mind that, but if I can find a foundation that isn't going to make me look yellow or, you know, like too yellow or too golden, then sure, why not? So yeah, that's that. I hope that was useful, and let me know if you have any questions about the foundation specifically in the comments, or you can message me on Instagram. Lip products, I'm wearing Burgundy Lip Liner by MAC, and I'm wearing Bond Girl by Charlotte Tilbury. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.